Hey, welcome back to the Red Flag Coaches Podcast with none other than my stand-in on a regular now. He's going to be here with me for the duration.
I think I'd hired y'all.
The man, the myth, and the legend. We're going to build a collaboration that's going to change the world in these next few months. So listen, I appreciate Victor Powell being here.
Thank you so much for asking me to come back. It's been such a powerful thing.
Yeah, and so we're going to continue our conversation that we talked about last week as it relates to the destiny of our kids, the absence or the presence of a father in a home. But I want to just shift this conversation today because I think that one of the things that we want to talk about in this episode is how important it is for a father to be emotionally present and not just physically present. Because I grew up in a house with both parents, mom and dad, middle-class family. And the truth of the matter is, even though dad was there, dad was not emotionally there. He didn't teach us how to be loving, how to be affectionate. He didn't teach us any of those things, but he was there. So it can be just as detrimental for a child to have a father in the house. But if a father does not know how to be physically and emotionally present, it can still have an impact later on in life. Let's deal with this for a while.
Oh, wow. Such a powerful piece because we've seen both, right? We've seen where the father was physically there because many people come from two-parent homes.
Sure.
But because the father hasn't been taught himself,
there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
To be emotionally present. He didn't see a model of a father that was emotional. It depends on what era that his father was born in. We just thought it was enough as a father to keep a roof over our family's head.
Some food on the table.
Food on the table, roof on the head. That was, and mind you, that is to be celebrated, right?
Yeah, no question.
But we remember an era that's what men brought to the table.
Right, for sure.
And that's how women measured whether if I can marry this guy or not, because he could provide. He gonna raise those children.
Right.
He gonna put food on the table. You remember the movie Fences, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Denzel in Fences, he's talking about I got to
make this happen.
I make this happen, But he was emotionally not present with that young man. He created this prison, but you ain't provided no emotional nothing for the wife. Or the son. Yeah. And so that's really what the whole movie was about. You were so focused on the past and so focused on what you could have been as a baseball player that you ain't provided no emotional stability for nobody, though you kept a roof over everybody's head.
Right.
I think it's critical that we unpack this subject because being emotionally present is so much more important than just simply being physically present.
So let's unpack this from the relational perspective of husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, because there are so many women who are watching or who are gonna be watching who's saying, he's just emotionally not there for me. And so we have a lot of women in marriages, in relationships, in situationships. That's the new word.
That's the new word. Is that new word? Thank you for the new word. I needed to hear that.
That are literally just in it and just feel like roommates if they're married, because emotionally the man sometimes doesn't know how to express himself. Kind of like the conversation we had a few weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
And so I think that's important for us to really talk about this, even with helping our fellas to at least strive to be a little bit more emotionally there for your significant other.
Because she let's say your wife, your girlfriend, she's saying, you're my best friend. Okay. We have to sometimes unpack language when we're talking to our friends, our spouses, our girlfriends, whatever it is. She says, you're my best friend. What she's actually saying to you is that you're the one who listens to me.
Right.
You're the one who I depend on to be emotionally present. I may have other friends, but if you're my best friend, you're the one that I'm expecting to hear me out. So finding out the language of your spouse, what does it mean for you to be emotionally present for them, what their biggest need is, that kind of thing. Sometimes we as men, Pastor Lawrence and I have this disease called talking, right? And so for a woman to be emotionally present for us is probably going to mean, it means many things, but it's dominantly going to mean she's going to have a good ear.
Oh, no question.
Right.
Exactly.
She's going to have to listen. And she can't be.
Right.
What'd you say? That's gonna frustrate us. Right?
And the other part of it is they can't be shallow.
Oh God, they got to be substantive.
People who love to talk have to have somebody that can talk back to them.
Some stimulation.
You gotta have some. Yeah, you gotta have a little something in your head to be able to keep. Anyway, but again, a lot of our fellas.
Yes.
Just have not learned how to be emotionally there.
They can provide the check. They can take care of the mortgage. They can take care of the car notes. But emotionally, sometimes we're not there. We can't. And what do you think it attributes to those? Because I think there's a reason why maybe learned behavior.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, they didn't see it modeled.
Right.
You know, it can be risky. Because once I start becoming vulnerable,
right, that's opening up something else for me now. And I think that even with that, when you think about these ladies who literally are begging for somebody to be emotionally there, I was sharing with someone just a few weeks ago.
That's good.
How they were just going through a whole lot in their personal lives, and they're like, "But he just doesn't get me. He just doesn't understand." And I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, if all he knew how to do was just sit there and listen, things would be a whole lot better.
Oh, he'll win his
But
wife.
again, yeah,
but it's hard.
Like you said, it's hard to put yourself in a position that you haven't seen.
Yes, and what's so interesting, a man will literally become double violent if his wife cheated on him, or if he found out that she was emotionally making herself available to another else, to another man. But if you don't understand her makeup and her need, you'll miss her. And because there's this book out, book's been out for many years. It's a bestseller. His Needs, Her Needs.
Right. Oh yeah.
The number one need of a woman is emotional presence,
No
right?
question.
So, and in the books stems out where both the physicians who wrote the book, co-authored the book, they interviewed like 100,000 clients. Found out that most people don't cheat because they just want to cheat. It's because of a need that's gone met. Yeah. And that's empty. So a woman, particularly, if her number one need is emotional connection, right? She didn't cheat in most cases. She didn't cheat or she wasn't unfaithful because she wanted to be.
Right.
She felt driven. It was like she felt pushed. She's coming to her husband, baby, I just want you to listen to me. Baby, I just want us to spend some time together.
Right.
Can we get in the car and go for a ride together just to connect, hold hands, touch, boom? That's her saying, I just need you emotionally.
Exactly.
I need you emotionally. Baby, I'm so appreciative of the house we live in. But she's saying, baby, I just want to have a conversation where you're available. Or hold me. Okay. You know, no, that is not going to do it. She needs to feel that you emotionally are connecting to her in a way that absorbs life's pains, life situations.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you made me think of. And this is deep now, but I have to, for us, we like to keep it real.
Yes, sir.
In 2024, I had we dealt with some couples. One was saying that when she came home from work, she wants to have a conversation. He's with the remote flipping through channels and not paying her any attention. And all of a sudden, after some time of being ignored, listen at this now, someone else grabbed her attention. So now this person is listening to her. This person is the one that's allowing her to vent. She's able to talk about this, that. But listen to this good now, Bishop. 3 couples, almost same scenarios, but watch this. All 3 of them the wives ended up being seduced, if that's a good word, by another woman. I know you weren't expecting that, but
oh Lord.
But this is no joke. This is the gospel truth. All three of them found themselves going in a direction that they never thought they'd go in.
All because of the
absence of an emotionally unavailable man.
And that tells you how deeply rooted a woman is to her emotions.
No question.
The need for those emotions to be connected with another human being. That's deep. That is deep. So that opened her up to a whole nother level of seduction.
No question.
Wow.
No question.
Wow. And there are many women out there listening to us
that
but often they don't go that extreme in either way, man or female, without the warning signs.
Oh, it's no question. Absolutely.
Those warning signs of, I need your attention. I want your attention, baby. This, that. Let's go on a vacation. Let's spend some time together. This constant, because, and then it depends on too, this is the other thing. Men, we need to hear this. In your 30s and the 40s, those are the years where you feel like you got to prove yourself. You got to prove yourself. So you might work overtime. You might give more attention to your career, your assignment, to all those others, whatever it is that you have to do. Because I can remember as a 30 and a 40-year-old man, father, trying to provide for my family, that being emotionally present wasn't my priority. Right? So when it's not your priority, you're not even aware until you start to age and mature how you left your family so vulnerable.
Right, for sure.
You almost left them uncovered. And then you wonder, why did that happen? What, how did I miss that? How did I miss those? Because I was busy. I think I heard one American preacher says, now wives, I can't be building us a life and present at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, but I didn't fully agree with that because now you're opening your family up.
For sure.
Like in this case here, to all kinds of seductive, depending on what arena you're in, spirits, behavior, whatever, however way you describe it, seductive things, not only the wife, but the children.
No question.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because the man covers so much, his presence.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got to figure out a way.
Right.
How to build my life.
Right.
And cover my wife.
At the same time.
My children at the same time. It's just the burden of being a man.
Yeah.
You can't throw that away.
But I'm going to tell you what else is so interesting. The signs were there for them. They kept ignoring the signs. Put it in another way, they kept running across the red flags, running through the red flags. And then when the spouse got caught up into something, now you're like devastated.
You're devastated.
And one thing I was telling one of the guys, I said, listen, man, there are a lot of things that we can bounce back from. But to think that your spouse left you for a woman, Doc, listen.
And that is almost, if I can use this word, that's a trending thing.
Oh, no question.
It's trending. It's becoming, that's devastating.
I like talking about deep stuff.
Yeah, it is difficult to bounce back from that. It's deep to.
You won't bounce back from that.
See, because
you'll take it on another woman.
Right, because this is the issue. This is when you know you're starting to become vulnerable. You didn't really, the reason the brother is more devastated, he or she could be devastated, because it can happen on the other end. Men,
right,
dealing with men,
right.
But you thought in your head, no matter how busy you were as a man, she wouldn't do that. No matter how busy you are, she ain't going nowhere because that couldn't happen to her.
Right.
It tells you that, and you're absolutely right. You didn't see it happening because she's such a solid woman.
Right.
She's such a solid individual. But it tells you just how critical emotional presence is needed, no matter how powerful, no matter how special you are as an individual, she or he can be solid human beings. But when that emotional need is not met in their life, we often can run them to somebody else's arms if we're not careful.
And here's one of the things that I always say to the fellas when I'm talking to guys. I said, listen to me now. If you don't believe nothing else I say, a woman will leave emotionally before she leaves physically.
Way before.
Oh, she's gone.
Sometimes years
And
before.
once she leaves emotionally,
she's gone.
It's hard to get her to come back now.
Right.
Because their emotions mean just that much to them.
Right.
And so going back to what we were saying earlier, even with our fellas, fathers, we want to make sure that you're not just there with your presence, but be there with your children from an emotional perspective as well.
Yeah. I'll never forget, I had Gabriel and Victoria. One of our pet peeves were, when I say pet peeve, one of the things, that our favorite things we would do, we'd go to the movies, and going to the movies is good, that's fine. But I'm sitting in the movie theater with my children, they were young, and we may have been watching something that they wanted to watch. But the Lord spoke to me and said, you're not spending time with them.
Wow.
What? They want to go to the movies. I want to go to the movies. This is, y'all not talking. Y'all not communicating.
Right.
Y'all not having no dialogue. So I realized that movies are great. Do that with your children. But you have to find ways to be emotionally present with them.
No question.
Through conversations. I learned some of that through my dad, because my dad would say stuff like, how was your day? What did you talk about? What had happened today? What teacher? He would mention different things, trying to be more present
for sure.
through conversation. I'll never forget Daddy saying, how you feeling? Well, I didn't know what that really meant until I became a man. Daddy was trying to say, what's going on in your head?
Right.
What are you feeling?
Right.
Because he's trying to teach me how to feel as a man.
For sure.
I don't know if he even processes that deeply, but that's that emotional presence that every human being, I don't care. And Pastor Lawrence, I want you to tap on this. The anointing on your life don't compensate for your emotional needs.
Oh, not at all.
Because you can be anointed, because he's a man of God, she's a woman of God. They know I'm busy, right? They know, they understand what my call is, because we could take this so much further, but how we see so much infidelity.
Exactly.
And emotional connecting to all these other things, even within the ranks of the clergy.
Yeah, it's definitely, and so when you mentioned that, you made me think about how easy it is also for us to use that as an excuse.
Yes.
To be emotionally unavailable. But I always,
because it's a good excuse.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. But again, I think the most important thing that we have to be to our children is an example, quite naturally. But I think more importantly, we need to make sure that we are there for them, not just physically. But can your children come to you and say, Dad, I just want to talk to you about something? Can your kids come to you and say to you, Dad, I've got this issue at school because
I was facing this problem.
Yes,
that's so real.
Because again, if our children don't feel comfortable enough to talk to us, there's something wrong.
Yes.
Which means that we missed something somewhere
along the line
that causes our kids to not feel comfortable enough to talk to us. So let me give a good example, right? I had this this mom who wanted to try to figure out what was going on with her son. And I literally, said, let me get with him. Can I tell you, this child told me more in my first conversation with him ever than he had told his parent. Listen, he told me more on my first, because for me, I feel like God has given me a gift to be able to really reach
dialogue
kids.
And reach them, right.
And this kid shared so much information with me about what was really going on with him that he didn't even share with his parents. So how does that happen? apparently they didn't give him a safe space.
A safe space.
Apparently they shut him down. There was something that made him not be able to open up to a parent versus a stranger. There's something wrong with that.
And I think as parents, sometimes we go in for the attack. Okay, the child is saying something. Number one, we're gonna cut the child off.
Right.
Number two, we finna correct the child.
Right.
Number three, we got to give you some direction. And sometimes the child is saying, Mom, Dad, I really want to open up to you and tell you what's going on.
Right.
But I'm afraid that you're finna react or respond.
Right.
And that's why sometimes they go to other people and dialogue with. So
Right.
it's critical.
And I remember, and it just made me think about something else. When I was youth pastor at Second Mile Olive, I put together this workshop 2 weekends in a row. It was from Will Smith's song, Parents Just Don't Understand.
Right.
But what I did, the first weekend, I named it Parents Just Don't Understand. So we got all of the kids together on a Friday night. I'll still remember like it was yesterday.
Right.
Got all the kids together, all the parents together. I told parents, this is a night you can't say anything. I just want you to listen to your children. The following weekend, we did it to where children just don't understand. So now parents are sharing all of these things that they have to do. I got to work. I got to do this.
And the children got to listen.
Yeah, and the children have to listen. I promise you, I still have letters from parents who talked about how that helped them to build that communication with their child, because I was like the mediator.
Right.
Parents, did you hear what your child just said? Children, did you hear what your mom just said?
That's good.
And so I had them write letters. Oh man, listen, I still have those letters to this day.
Wow.
From a number of parents who talked about, you helped us to bridge that gap between my child and I.
Whoa.
So it just goes to show that if we are taught how to do it, because most times parents aren't taught how to communicate because our parents didn't teach us
how to communicate.
Right. So we don't know how to communicate with our children because we didn't experience it.
That's so powerful. Communication is the key.
It's critical. And so that's why I'm saying to
without
fathers.
Judgment.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm saying to fathers that we got to make sure that we are learning how to be more available with our children from a communication perspective.
We do. And the communication does not need to have a contingency. The communication needs to be without judgment.
Yes, sir.
They need to feel like, wait until the child says, I need your help on this. Hear them out. Because sometimes children are wanting to get counseling from us, but they feel like it's going to change our perspective of them.
And exactly.
You know, they're gonna feel a punishment, or it's gonna come back up as punishment. I'm gonna use it as leverage. And we all, I'll just speak for myself, have overreacted as a parent. You know what I mean? Sure. I've heard certain things, but I realize in retrospect, as you look back and you say, you know what, I could have learned some things from that.
Right.
Because we were raised from the same era. You don't speak until you're spoken to. You listen to everything. The parent is always right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we live and learn that parents are not always right.
Oh yeah, no question.
We just always the parent,
right?
But we're not always right.
Exactly.
And sometimes listening to your children, you can learn so many things by listening to your children. That's the emotional presence. That's being emotionally present,
right?
Not just present as an authority, present as a person. I think that's so important.
Yeah, and then I was reading this quote the other week. It says, "A father's greatest legacy is not what he leaves for his children, but it's what he leaves in his children.
That is so powerful.
I was like, you know what? That is extremely true.
So powerful. That's so powerful.
My legacy is not going to be what I gave to my son.
Right.
I want him years down the road to be able to say, man, my dad tried to tell me this, or my dad told me this, or my shares.
That's right.
Yeah, it's what I want to leave in him. Now, quite naturally, kids are going to make their own decision, do what they want to do. but even later on in life.
And maybe we need to do a show with all of our children.
Yeah,
let them do a show
exactly.
together and let them, because I'm as you were talking about that, what you put in them, I'm like, whoa. So that's why I hear sometimes them quoting you. They bring in what you said, what you did, because not how much you gave them,
right,
but how much you put in there.
And what they remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
The power of a father is so powerful because we're created in the image of God, and we made with so many of his attributes and his character and his nature, that fathers can be very, very kingly in their thinking, that if they know they put all this in you, they try. And because so often when we're having this subject, we're dealing with the negative fathers, right?
For sure.
But I want to say to all those fathers who did do some of the things that we're talking about, kudos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kudos,
Absolutely.
because there are fathers out there that are saying, it's almost like the present climate is getting so much, this present negative part of the climate in our country is getting so much attention, just so much attention, right? Where you look at the news feed, nothing positive. And that's the same way when it comes to so many fathers.
Yeah, for sure. It's always the negative.
That said, you know what? I tried to do the top 3 things. Be emotionally present. I tried to be emotionally present. I didn't just try to be, I was there physically, but I took my child places. You just said something about your niece and your sister and her ex-husband's daughter. He just took her to Italy.
Yeah.
We don't even hear about this kind of stuff, right? Especially in our community, right? I've heard those kind of things similarly, but in other communities. That's a father. They riding the plane together. First of all, that's an 8, 9, 10 hour flight from here to Europe. We're going to be on the flight together. She going to fall asleep with daddy. She going to get up and talk to daddy. That kind of stuff is priceless, right? But there are fathers out there that's saying, that's the kind of presence that I'm practicing in my child's life. And if you want your child to remember you at 40, at 50, at 60, that's what you're going to have to do.
You got to do those things.
That's so powerful.
Yeah, they go to the gun range. They go.
What?
Oh, God.
That is so powerful.
And she's been doing that for years.
That is special.
I mean,
kudos.
It's amazing, man. And again, from these podcasts, one of the things that I want to really drive home to any fella or any young lady who's watching this, and you're going to get your significant other to watch it. The one thing that I really want us to drive home in these podcasts is for our brothers to understand.
Wow.
Come out of your comfort zone, right? Do something that you've never done.
Whoa, that's so powerful.
To get that relationship with your child. I know it didn't happen for you coming up, possibly. You didn't have the I love yous from your dad. You didn't have the I'm proud of you. Break that cycle.
Break it.
Come out of your comfort. That's about the easiest thing I said. Come out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And understand it's okay to hug your son. It's okay to sit down and have conversations with your son, your daughter.
Yes.
It's okay to say, okay, how do I? And so if I had to make a suggestion for any father, find, like you mentioned other week, find a male that you can trust, that you can learn from, grow from, that can help take you out of that thought process that says, this is who I am. Because a lot of times we just come and just say to ourselves, well, that's just the way I am. No, that's the way that you decided that you want it to be.
That's right.
But you've got to be able to be okay saying, you know what, I'm going to stretch myself so that I can be emotionally available. So for that man who's saying, how do I become emotionally available? I'm glad you asked. Find you a therapist.
Yes.
Find somebody who can unpack some of your trauma or your baggage that you may have had as a child. Find someone who can help you heal past the hurts that you may have experienced from not having a dad in your life. But we cannot continue the cycle.
Cannot.
That's permeating our community, because at the end of the day, we need fellas. We need somebody to help to instill in that next generation some things that they're gonna need in life. And so, yeah.
And as we end this particular segment, if you meet a daddy's girl, like someone's gonna meet your niece, right? And she's gonna have this high standard, right? She's gonna have this high standard. And typically men run away from this daddy's girl, right?
Exactly.
And so if you meet a daddy's girl, just know that she's not looking to you to be her father, right? She's been fathered, she's been loved, but what she will provoke in you is a standard.
Right.
And she's gonna want you to pass that down, knowing if y'all have children together, to your son, to y'all sons and daughters. Don't run away from the girl that's had a father, because now we're demonizing the fact that she had a father.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you want to meet a girl that's had a father.
Exactly.
Because she's going to be less work for you.
Right.
Right? But she's going to bring so much positivity to your life.
Exactly.
She's going to know how to esteem you. She's going to know how to respect you, because when you watch her interaction with her father, it is going to be with honor.
Right.
It's going to be with respect. She's finna pass that on to you.
Exactly.
As long as you coming up to the plate, she's going to give you the honor. She's going to give you the respect. So don't run away from her. Yeah, she's a demand. Because her father put something in her.
Exactly.
But it's going to raise the bar. But one thing she's going to bring to the table for you as a man is respect, love. She's going to know how to honor you. Her father is going to say, now, you got to listen to your man. She's going to want to listen to you. Be worthy of that.
Exactly.
She's going to bring another standard to you, but don't run away from that. You're inheriting something good and something great. Good.
And what you made me think of, and I'm going to close out with this, my chairman of deacons, Ernest Price, he didn't grow up with a dad. He just knew that he had to do something different.
Right.
And so in his mind, his thing was, I'm going to be a better father than my father was to me.
Wow, that's powerful.
Even though he didn't see it. When he married Miss Carolyn, Miss Carolyn already had 2 children. But when I tell you, he raised those children. As a matter of fact, the older daughter, Nikki, is married, and her husband has become such a real man. Not to say he wasn't before, but I'm saying because he sees how this man raised that young lady.
Yes.
To the point where he says, I can't be less than what he's been to her.
Wow.
Which was a provider. And I'm not saying just provider, but I'm saying somebody who taught her how to love, what to look for, the respect, the honor.
The confidence that he gave her, all that.
And those are the things that are really necessary for our fellas to understand. Like you were just saying, when you meet someone who's been raised by a father, don't be intimidated.
Absolutely.
Because the truth of the matter is you can learn so much from being around a person like that will enhance your life to a point where, you know what, now you're able to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Yeah. Because a lot of the daddy's girls get a bad rap.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
They get
you just a
daddy's girl, right? But she can't apologize for being loved.
Exactly.
She don't make her apologize and feel bad, because she has standards and that she feels good about herself. But validate that and celebrate that and say, you know what? You giving me a standard that I know I got to live by, because you're not going to accept anything less.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
That's so powerful. Yeah.
And so while you, I want you to say something else real quick, because I'm going to show you. I want to read something real quick that my niece sent my sister. My sister sent it to me the other day, and while my niece was over in Turkey, she was in Istanbul.
In Turkey.
And so my sister sent this to me the other day, and my niece, quite naturally, when she got there, my niece said something that I was like, this girl, because she's 14, but when I tell you, she can tell you anything about politics.
Right.
She can tell you anything about what's going on in the world at 14 because her parents are both well-rounded.
Right. They talk to her. They have conversations with her. She's a thinker.
She's a thinker. And so she said, let me find this real quick. And so she said, it's interesting that I'm sitting here talking to my daughter. Where is it? I got to find it, man, because this thing blew my mind. And I was like, wow, who thinks like this? So my sister was asking my niece, how was everything going? I got to find this. Man. I can't find it now, Bishop. But anyway, it just blew my mind, man.
Wow. You'll find it.
Yeah, I'll probably find it after we finish. But anyway, she was talking about, basically what she was saying is, was that it right there? No, but anyway, my sister asked her how she was doing. And she says, I'm doing better than Trump, who's trying to be racist or something like that. She said.
Right.
I said, here this girl is talking about, here she is in Turkey enjoying a spring break, and she's still talking about the climate of our country. And so again, I said that to say that, again, when a young guy runs into her, he will have to be a thinker.
It's going to have to be a thinker.
But he can't be intimidated.
He cannot be intimidated.
But at the same time, dads, instill some stuff in your children, because again, your greatest legacy is not what you give to them.
It's what you put in them.
It's what you put in them.
Yes, and put something in them. And that takes that time. That takes that connection.
Yeah, for sure.
That takes that, no. Every father may not be able to take his child to Turkey, to Italy, right? But taking your daughter or your son on trips, taking them places. This is the other thing, putting them on planes, getting on planes with them. Don't create these fears of exploring life.
Right.
Those are the things that your child is going to remember beyond anything. They're going to remember the conversations. They're going to remember the connections. They're going to remember that you spent time with them. You came up to their school and sat in the back of the class, observed them, and they're going to be looking, and that's going to make your daughter smile. That's going to make your son feel like, hey, presence. Conversations and connections and asking questions. Actually, I found out something negative that had occurred in school with my baby girl when she was, I think, she was 5, 6, 7, whatever grade that is at the time. And we were having a conversation. She don't even know. She's just telling me all this different stuff and boom. And I said, oh, really? That happened? Because I'm asking her questions, right? And she feels the liberty to come and tell me these things. She thought nothing of what she was saying, but it provoked me to go up to the school the next day to ask a few questions of the principal, her teacher, and her para, that we got to the bottom of the issue. But if I did not have the time and had not had the time to ask a few questions, to feel a connection, and actual reality, I didn't have the thought patterns of what we're talking about. Watch this. I was repeating what my dad gave me. Having conversations, talking, riding with me, saying, well, okay, what you thinking about? Well, what's on your mind? I was just repeating that. Now that I look back, whoa, you was building a child.
Exactly.
You were building a relationship and a connection with that child. That's how we become emotionally present.
That's good. Listen, this has been another amazing episode.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
Just to be able to sit here and dialogue with my brother, the man, the myth, and the legend, Bishop Victor L. Powell. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule.
This has been fun. We need to do it, but we need to take it on the road. I'm feeling it now.
We're definitely going to take it on the road for sure, because I think it's going to be very helpful for the people who actually come and take part, because we have to really get this information to the masses. And I think this would be a great way. We're starting already. And so now they get a chance to hear what we will be talking about, but just in different conversations, different topics that we can talk about. And so for those of you who are watching, I want you to send us in the comments some topics that you want us to discuss. And the good Bishop and I will come on here and we'll deal with, I don't care what area, a subject you want us to deal with as it relates to life, relationships, or whatever. We'll find a way to make it happen, to get your questions answered, to get insight to you. And so we literally appreciate all of you who tune in. We don't take it for granted, but we thank you so much. Again, Bishop, tell them how to get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Can't get off here without telling them that.
Oh, well, thank you, Bishop, Pastor Lawrence, for having me again. This has been so fresh. I'm just amazed. But listen, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Actually, I'm starting a little TikTok account. All of it is under my name, or VLP Think Big. You can go out to Amazon.com, Kindle. We have several writings out there, but our latest book is dealing with the cries and the pain of pastors who go through issues. Get that book. It'll help you if you're dealing with guilt, shame, or regret. That book will help you heal through that process. Thank you so much.
Good people, appreciate y'all showing up again for the Red Flag Coaches podcast. We don't take it for granted. Again, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Follow us on all those social media pages. As a matter of fact, you can go to the website, theredflagcoach.com. That's the website, theredflagcoach.com. We have books on there, some other product that you can get. Thank you so much. Listen, we'll talk to y'all in the next episode. Y'all be blessed.